Hey everybody, Donnie RightSide here, Bookmakers Review. Happy New Year. Let's see if we can start the new year off in style. Why? Because the NFL has a Sunday slate, and you guessed it, what's that date? January 1st, 2023. 3 games I had picked out this weekend for some last chance value options. Let's get right to it here. 109, 110 on the rotation. This is the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this line right now is sitting at 6.5 across the board, but that's actually not where I'm going with the side. It would be the total here. We actually watched during the week Jalen Hurts taking some warm-up throws here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Do I think he's going to play in this game Sunday? I don't think so, but let's just say he does. That'll send that line at 6.5 to 7, 7.5, and beyond. But I'm not even going to look at that part here. Earlier in the week, this line opened up as a total at 42.5. It's sitting at 42s across the board. Now, granted, did you see last week when Gardner Minshew played? The Philadelphia Eagles moved the football up and down the field. If it weren't for turnovers, they probably would have scored even more points, obviously. They didn't punt the football, and I don't know how many punts they're going to have this weekend. Now, granted, New Orleans does have a decent pass rush and a decent defensive football team. But sky's the limit for the Philadelphia Eagles. Even with Gardner Minshew, what are we looking at? High 20s at this point? Andy Dalton is going to be the starting quarterback here for the New Orleans Saints. Who knows who actually shows up at the wide receiver position, but I do think that the New Orleans Saints will be able to move the football. We don't need a lot of points in this game. So last chance value here at a total going over 42, because if Jalen Hurts comes back in, that number is going to increase higher. Also keep in mind, Philadelphia here typically at this time of the year is very cold and windy. Not going to be the case at Lincoln Financial Field. Temperatures in the mid-50s with no chance of precipitation right now showing up in the weather forecast. We're going to get points on that one, so maybe a last chance here to save on that 42 as a total. Game number 2 we'll take a look at here, the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. If we're looking at a line here and you like New England, make sure you jump on them as soon as you can. That line at 2.5 across the board looks like a little bit of extra juice sprinkled in. Minus 115s, minus 118s, minus 120s, even some plus 3s at plus 100 prices. So if you do like the New England Patriots, get that line before it moves to 3. And also, you can play the opposite side of the card. If you like Teddy Bridgewater and the Miami Dolphins, this one, don't take it at 2.5 here. Just sit back, sit tight, and if you can find those 3s out there, go ahead and fire away. But this one will be from a Patriots standpoint. If you think they're going to win, make sure you jump on the 2.5. Do not let that line go to 3. Game number 3 we'll talk about, 127 and 128, the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Now, keep an eye on this game. Now, granted, it's still week 17. We still have a week 18 to play. So a lot of teams aren't going to be in the mood of shutting things down 2 weeks early before the season ends. But the reason why this game is very interesting is there are some 3s out there, a little bit juicy at minus 122 and minus 120. But hear me out on this one. If the Philadelphia Eagles do end up beating the New Orleans Saints in the 1 o'clock games, that makes this game for Minnesota a little bit less appetizing here, because there's no way they can chase down the Philadelphia Eagles and get that number 1 overall seed. Now, granted, they're still going to want to stay in that number 2 slot, but a couple years ago, that number 2 slot was a lot more valuable than it is now because it included a bye, which it doesn't. Only one team in each conference gets a bye, and the Philadelphia Eagles will have wrapped that up. So if I'm looking at this game from a betting perspective, the Green Bay Packers need to win no matter what to try to keep their hopes alive of making it into the playoffs. But the Minnesota Vikings may be a little bit diminished here, and I expect that line to go from 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 or even higher once we get to game time here at Lambeau. 3 games with some last chance value as we head into the new year. Awesome stuff. I'm Donnie RightSide for Bookmakers Review, and as always, good luck on those wagers.